Hello and welcome in. I am AoElena, one of the newest Vault Hunter creators. Wait a second, did I say AoElena? It's actually Purple-lena. Check out the new hair done by Viola. So my co-streamer Endo and I have been theory crafting, we've been strategizing, and we've been playing through the old Borderlands games in anticipation for Borderlands 4 coming out September 12th. We are just a few more days away from the launch. It is time to bring in some backup. Let's get Endo in here. This is his first YouTube appearance. He's got a lot to say about Borderlands. He's been playing it since the beginning.
Hey dudes, it's Endo. So Borderlands 1, guys, it's where we all started, right? Like we started there. And it didn't get us for the story. It got us for the looter shooter. It had fun mechanics. It felt good, right? Like the combat was cool. The fact that we had Diablo style loot in the game, that got us. Okay, we moved on, right? The end game wasn't really there. But what game was back then? Then we had Borderlands 2. Story hit home. The story burned. Like that was, Handsome Jack was the it was. Difficulty progression, that sucked. I had to repeat the whole campaign. No, I don't want to do that again. Thank you Borderlands 3 for removing that factor from that hot garbage. That wasn't my thing. But Handsome Jack, that was a villain. That was on par with the Joker himself, right? Like that was lit. Here's hoping we see some serious improvements with difficulty progression in Borderlands 4, because I didn't really like Mayhem mode either. So it sounds like Borderlands 4 is addressing some of the difficulty progression and loot issues we had in some other Borderlands games, right? We're gonna be able to take all our max level gear into all the different difficulty upgrades, right? It's not gonna have Ultra Vault Hunter mode versions or OP10, all that stuff, right? Like you get it at max level, it stays at that level. For greater or worse. We'll see where that goes. I like that. I don't like having to refarm things every time I upgrade difficulty. I don't think that's cool. You guys are gonna see me co-streaming with Elena, right? AoElena. And you guys can look forward to me making unique, unusual builds. Usually minion focused stuff like I do in Diablo, right? I'm already looking at making a interesting build for Amon, or Amon, however you want to pronounce his name. I don't know the proper pronunciation yet. But yeah, I'm looking to make a drones based build for him and an endless ordnance build for him. So look forward to that. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in Kairos. Back to AoElena.
The purpose of this video is to celebrate everything that Borderlands has done right, also calling out some things that maybe 1, 2, or 3 didn't quite hit the mark on, but continue looking forward to the things that 4 brings to the table. Borderlands is that one franchise that kept me looting 37 guns that were all slightly worse than the one I was using, but I still felt addicted and kept grinding. So today, we are going through Borderlands 1, 2, and 3 to go through the things that worked and all of the strengths, some of the weaknesses, things that didn't quite hit the mark, and look at why Borderlands 4 might be Game of the Year quality. Let's start with Borderlands 1. At the time, nobody was really mixing Diablo-style loot with first-person shooting. You had shooters and you had RPGs, but Borderlands mashed them together in a way that felt brand new. Suddenly, every gun you picked up mattered. Not just, oh, this is an assault rifle, but this is my assault rifle with random stats, elemental damage, and a chance to completely change how I played. The randomness was genius. It gave Borderlands endless replayability that most shooters didn't even have. Every fight was a lottery, every chest was an event, and the cel-shaded art style made it instantly recognizable. It didn't look like any other FPS out there. It felt like a comic book that came alive, complete with snarky humor and ridiculous enemies. It wasn't perfect. The story was shallow, portions of the world felt empty, and the endgame boiled down to Chromarax runs. But the idea of Borderlands 1, the invention of the looter shooter, is what made it legendary. Without it, we probably wouldn't even have games like Destiny, The Division, or Outriders. Real quick, can we talk about Claptrap? In the first 5 minutes, he's a cute little companion sidekick, but by hour 3, you realize he's actually a psychological warfare weapon, and you can't stand to hear his voice, but we love him so much. If Borderlands 1 invented the looter shooter genre, then Borderlands 2 nearly perfected it. Gearbox doubled down on everything players loved from Borderlands 1 and filled in the gaps for Borderlands 2. Pandora wasn't just an empty desert with bandits, it was alive, buzzing with characters who had actual personalities. Every quest felt bigger, funnier, and sharper. There was intention to the story. That's thanks to Anthony Birch coming on as lead writer. The story wasn't just go here and shoot this. It was tied together by Handsome Jack, who was one of the best villains gaming has ever seen. What made Handsome Jack so unforgettable wasn't that he was just cruel. It was how he was cruel. Most villains and looter shooters are blunt instruments. Big, scary, dangerous, and then that's it. Jack was layered. He was funny, he was charming, and almost reasonable at times. He believed he was the hero of the story. We hated him because he was manipulative, sadistic, and relentlessly smug. But we also loved him because he was clever, witty, and impossible to ignore. The loot got better. More variety, more build possibilities, and that sweet feeling of finding a legendary that could carry you your whole playthrough. While difficulty progression felt dated and disconnected at times, it still gave us incentive to farm for better loot. The adrenaline rush was so satisfying. If we could pull the intensity and humor from the story in Borderlands 2 and mix it with the gameplay and quality of life upgrades from Borderlands 3, Borderlands 4 could be Game of the Year worthy. Borderlands 3 had an almost impossible job. After the cultural highs of Borderlands 2, the expectations went through the roof. In a lot of ways, it delivered. The gunplay was the best the series had ever seen. Sliding, mantling, smoother aiming, it finally felt like a modern shooter without losing the Borderlands personality. The variety of guns went off the charts too, with manufacturers having more distinct identities and weapons doing truly ridiculous things. We had TDR guns that ran, threw themselves at the enemies going yeet!
Look at my guns go!
We had guns that shot guns, guns that insulted you, and guns that refilled ammo on landing crits. Borderlands 3 doubled down on chaos, and it worked. The planets were another big step forward. For the first time, Pandora wasn't the only backdrop. We got lush jungles, futuristic cities, and acid-filled swamps. Each zone felt alive and visually stunning. It gave the game a sense of scope and adventure that made exploration exciting again. But where Borderlands 3 stumbled was in its story. After Handsome Jack, the Calypso Twins just could not measure up. They had potential. The idea of evil streamers feeding on clout is quite hilarious and ahead of its time, but they lacked the charisma and the depth that made Jack iconic. Tyreen was loud, Troy was whiny, and their motivations never went beyond, oh, we want power and attention. That's fine for a side villain, but for the main antagonist of the game, it felt paper thin. In Borderlands 2, Jack made every encounter personal. You hated him because he was cruel, but you kept playing because he was so compelling. The twins mostly yelled at you through echoes, they made bad jokes, and kicked off characters for shock value. Instead of tension, it just felt like empty noise. It felt like a 12-year-old learned how to be edgy and just ran with it for the whole campaign. They completely missed the mark. There was one character who had my heart throughout Borderlands 2 and 3, and that was Tiny Tina. She was unpredictable, chaotic, and hilarious. Tiny Tina blends absurdity, emotional depth, and raw intelligence in a way that few video game characters could ever manage. She's part comic relief, part lore guide, and part emotional anchor. Every line she delivers just sticks with players. I hope we see a lot of her in Borderlands 4. The endgame was a mixed bag too. On paper, there was a lot. Mayhem levels, proving grounds, circle of slaughter, true takedowns, and arms race. But at launch, it didn't quite click. Mayhem scaling was messy, matchmaking was inconsistent, and some bosses felt more like HP sponges rather than fun encounters. The mechanics felt unnoticeable because there weren't enough of a challenge and all that mattered was standing still and shooting the boss for 10 minutes. That said, Gearbox put in a ton of work post-launch, but, for example, the revenge of the cartel boss, Joey Ultraviolet, still felt like a slog. Where Borderlands 3 shined was in memorable moments, whether it was roaming through Eden 6's swamps, getting your first crazy anointed drop, or blasting through a takedown with friends, the game always had flashes of brilliance. And for many players, it became their introduction to the Borderlands formula, including my own, meaning Borderlands 3 is where a whole new generation of Vault Hunters started their journey. In the end, Borderlands 3 was ambitious and it was flashy, even if the story was a little lacking. It gave us sleek and fun gameplay, wild loot, and some of the most diverse environments that we have seen to date. And that brings us to Borderlands 4. It's shaping up to be the most ambitious entry yet. Set on the planet Kairos, Borderlands 4 introduces a seamless open-world experience with no loading screens between regions. Gearbox has taken player feedback to heart, enhancing movement mechanics with features like double jumping and grappling hooks, and the new ordnance system replaces traditional ammo-based explosives, offering cooldown-based heavy weapons and grenades for a more strategic combat experience. Boss fights are more dynamic and multi-phased, requiring tactical thinking and environmental interaction. The quintillion guns are back, but this time with purpose. The new licensed parts system allows for deeper customization, letting players craft weapons that suit their playstyle. Loot rarity has been adjusted to ensure that every drop feels meaningful, making each legendary find a true treasure. So that means you don't have to sort through 20 legendaries that have the same name with slightly different stats. The developers are committed to delivering a compelling narrative this time. Set 6 years after Lilith's moon crash, players join the Crimson Resistance to overthrow the Timekeeper's oppressive rule. The story promises deeper character development and a more engaging plot, aiming to redeem the series' storytelling legacy. As some of you guys may have seen on stream, for Endo, Ellie, and I, we would love to see quality of life with auto pickups on loot drops that are below what we want, such as commons and uncommons automatically turning into currency, rather than having to manually walk around an empty arena clicking on all the guns as they convert to currency. This was so game-breaking, and it slowed down the progression. We are eager to not have to farm for gear every time we increase difficulty. The developers want to respect our time from grinding and farming. As confirmed at PAX West in August 2025, we will not have to refarm our gear. Our equipment will not be scaled to post-game levels like Mayhem 1 through 10, instead it'll stay at our max level cap. With these innovations, Borderlands 4 promises an endgame experience that is both challenging and rewarding, ensuring that players have ample opportunities to test and refine their builds long after the main story concludes. There will literally be over 30 billion unique guns with the system. The developers want us to beat the campaign and play the game our way. And that is our deep dive into Borderlands 1, 2, and 3 with our hopes and expectations for Borderlands 4. So drop your hopes for Borderlands 4 in the comments, let me know which characters, weapons, or mechanics you're most excited for, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Vault Hunters, we'll see you on September 12th in Kairos. Take care!